Hello everyone, this is Lloyd from Bizzfo, and what I'm going to cover today in this session is I want to take you through the Bizzfo financial reporting, specifically focused at our balance sheet. I actually want to show you how I got to all these balances. We've got a bank balance we're going to look at. We've got some current assets, which is our tender types. We've got liabilities. We've got a supplier invoice that we've punched, and then we've got stock with some written off stock, and then your typical profit and loss info. So cool. Next up, I'll show you how I got all this info set up, and let's dive into it. So I've already done a clean install of Bizzfo, and what I want to do is I'm just going to run you through the screens quickly. There's different videos to show you how to do this in detail, but I just want to kind of touch on the setup. So I'm just quickly I'm actually going to start with a new supplier invoice. So you can click on the new button. Let's create a supplier, shop in Sky. Alright, good. So we're doing shop in the Sky. It's not a credit note, no, and today's date. Right, perfect. We get our normal 3 digits, and I'm just going to fictitious invoice number 123. And what you notice now is we don't have any products. So the advantage of this screen is I can now quickly go and say, I'm just going to use a burger for example. It's probably not the best example in terms of burgers are built up of recipes and typically don't carry a quantity, but I'm just going to set it anyway. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this one food. So important, this category is how you understand your business and split it. So you would have food and drinks, but also notice this one will pop up on our balance sheet, so it's quite important as well. Alright, so I'm updating that one. I'm going to give it a simple cost for now. Let's just make it 10, some round numbers so it's easy to track, and we're going to sell it for 25. Alright, perfect. So now I can see the red went to blue, it's saying edit, and now I can actually go and add this product. So we got a burger. Let me select it again so it's popping up there, and what we're going to do is let's do 20 of them, and I'm just going to add that one in. So you can see this is my running total. So notice you'll see this value again. So we've got a cost price of 10, 200, and you'll notice this will pop up on the balance sheet. So we're expecting a total of 200, and we've got 20 in stock. So next up, what I'm going to do is in Bizzfo we've got a touch and a scan interface. So I'm just quickly going to run through this one. I enjoy using the touch interface for testing. So we give it a name, food, we just navigate, and I'm going to select that one, link it, double click it for burger, and there we go. We've got a button set up. You can be fancy and just set your back button. Alright, awesome. So again, you could have used a scan interface. I'm just going to go touch, and what we're going to do, okay, just clock in quickly. And now I'm going to do a few things that we want to see on our balance sheet. Is I'm going to do food. I'm going to do 2 of them. I'm going to ring them off, and I'm just going to leave this one on cash. Alright, then I'm going to do food. I'm going to do 3 of them, so you can see it's 75, and I'm going to do this one on debit card. Alright, good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do food, and I'm going to do, let's do 125, that's fine. And now I'm going to add one to check, 25. We're going to do one to voucher, 25, and let's do one to snap zapper. We'll do this one is 75. Okay, that's exact tender, and we're ringing this one off. Alright, perfect. Alright, I'm just clicking that one to fast track the sync. So just to recap where we are, is we have done a sale of 250. These are our tenders, so we're expecting this to see on our balance sheet. So important, why we're doing this as well as we will be getting debit card back from our supplier or our pay point or speed points. Check is actually outdated, but I'm just putting it in here, and we've got vouchers, and then we've got Zapper as well. So we're expecting these ones to go to come into the bank, and the cash of sales will deposit into our bank. Alright, so just before we go to our, I'm just going to go to our stock screen before we go to our balance sheet. This is just a different way. Let's have a look at our stock movement. So for the stock movement, we've received some items, no interbranch transfers, manufacturing, leftovers, and then items sold was 10, so we got 10 in stock, and we can confirm that. Let's quickly have a look at our stock quantities, going back to inventory, and we can see perfect, we got 10 in stock. So what I'm going to do now as well, I'm going to write off 10 of these items so we can actually get it back to 0. So what we're going to do, well, I'll just do 5. So we're going to do stock take. We're going to do a let's do a write-off here. A new one. We did a write-off, and I'm just going to select this item. Yes, and I've got 5 in stock, so I'm actually going to do -5 just to write that off. So it's in and out. So it's asking me if I added 5, it would add it. -5 would take it off. So let's have a look. So I'm processing that one. And there we go, it's back to 5. Just having a look at what happened in our stock movement report. And there we go, written off 5, so we got 5 left. So I'm going to jump over to the Hive and show you what the impact is of doing the sales and the inventory on your balance sheet. Alright, so I've logged into my Hive, hive.bizzfo.co.za. And what I'm going to do now is, before I go to my financial reports, this is where I want to be. I'm quickly going to check my general ledger. So let's have a look. Just the navigation on this is quite important. This is your warehouses. We call them a warehouse or a branch. So we're working with this specific one. But what I want to show you is your ledger. So I can look at groupings here. I just want to touch on bank as well. I haven't set up my bank, so we're going to do the bank now. And looking at current assets, so we want to focus on this one specifically. So what you'll notice here is this is the tender types that are actually coming in. So our balance sheet is going to reflect these tender types as a positive. And then what we want to do as well, we want to have a look at our stock and do a stock adjustment so we can actually write off those 5 items that came in. Alright, so let's go to our financial report. Let's start here. And let's have a look. So I'm just going to click refresh. The date is specific for today. Alright, so let's unpack what is happening. So our balance sheet, I've just selected our balance sheet over here. We've got the trial balance as well, but we want to focus on the balance sheet. So let's have a look. For the current assets, you'll notice that we've got our cash on hand. And maybe just jumping back to the point of sale to give you a different perspective again, we can do the cash up. You'll see there's our cash sales. And then another one maybe to check is our Zapper, which is sitting on 75. So you'll notice, okay, let me just show you that Zapper one as well. So there is the Zapper, which is quite a familiar tender type. Alright, so understanding a balance sheet is basically you receiving into a account, so cash was received, and then you are either paying out from an account or counterbalancing it. So these are our balances, and you'll notice that we want to focus on these ones. So our cash on hand, we are currently carrying balances. So as a tip, what you want to do is you actually want to keep these amounts at 0, because this is how you balance it. Is you want to see what credit card payments I've received from my bank, and we'll do that now to get this balance on 0, because this is actually tracking what I've done on credit card, and then as you zero it out, that's your counterbalance to ensure that you're actually getting it in. So just quickly running through the rest, we've got these ones, your food. Remember I mentioned the food item that we sold. You'll notice the stock. we sold the 200. We got 200 in. So just to give you the context of that one, so I'm going back to the point of sale. So what we did is, starting at here, I'm going to go to my inventory. I'm going to go to my supplier history. On my supplier history, you'll remember we did the shop in the sky. We did 20 of the cost of 10, and that means we got 200. So this 200 is actually now popping up on our balance sheet. Then what we are seeing as well is we've got a balance sitting here of 100, which is actually the amount we sold, and we still got 100 left, of which we have done a stock adjustment. But you'll notice under the stock, we're not seeing any adjustments at this stage. In other words, what we're seeing is the reduction from the 10 items we've sold. It's sitting over here, so it's saying we should have a stock quantity value of 100 left, which will adjust shortly, just to get back to the point of sale, because looking at a point of sale, we actually got less. Let's jump to the point of sale. We go to our point of sale. You can click on view all. You'll see at the bottom you only got 50 left. If I click on this little button, you'll see there's only 50 left, but we know it's because of the adjustment. So the adjustment we've left to do outside of the system, so we'll touch on that one now as well. Alright, so just to continue, so the income, let's see if we can just change this a bit. So we've got the cost of sale, and the cost of sale is actually coming from the income. Just a different way to see it would be on our GL, our profit and loss. So just refreshing this one. You can also have a look at this. But let's stay with the balance sheet for now. And then looking at our current liabilities. So current liabilities, remember we did the stock purchases. And just a note, remember your output VAT, that is what you sent, you did on your sale. So don't get confused about your suppliers. So if you look at your 230, when we go back to our point of sale, we can see that it's the 230 that we've got, which is a total liability. And that is sitting over there. And there's the input VAT. So on the VAT, maybe just a different way to look at it. If I go to my VAT report and I click on my VAT summary, I can see this is my input VAT. There's it sitting, and there's the output VAT from the sale. So I am actually due 261. You can also have a look at there's the output VAT and there's the input VAT summarized values. Alright, cool. So that's kind of understanding the balance sheet as at its base. There's some simple filters you can do. But what we want to do now is we want to start our next step, and we actually want to start zeroing our current assets, and we also want to pay our supplier, and then we want to have a look at what's happening at your balance sheet. To know if your balance sheet is correct, your debits and your credits at the bottom should always balance. So we can see that is the fact. So the one minus the other we give us 0, and then your closing balance should always be at a 0. If it's not at 0, then something is not correct on your balance sheet. So it's a very simple and nice test to see your data is flowing nicely. Alright, so next step, what we want to do is now we go to the bank. So just to summarize, we've done our point of sale, we did some transactions, and now we want to get the cash into the business. So I'm just going to clear this batch I was testing before, and I'm going to do my specific warehouse and then cash on hand. Alright, so this is something I forgot. So this is the default account, but we actually want to set up a bank account. So I'm going to go back to my ledger. So what you want to do is you want to go to your bank account, and then you want to select your specific warehouse, and then you'll add your account and you'll click save. Once you've done that on your ledger, you'll notice that on your bank as well, when you do the filter, your bank will be available in your ledger, and naturally you can have more than one bank, and that will be displayed here. Alright, cool. So let's just go back to our bank. Once on our bank, let's just click this again, and we're going to go F&B. So what we want to do now is I'm just going to bring in quite a few of the transactions. So I'm going to bring in the payment of the cards that we received. So let me just maximize the screen. And alright, so we're bringing in current assets, and we're going to say that we have received our credit card. So received, and we have received on the credit card, it was a 75. So this could have been paid in by your supplier, your bank is bringing that in. So we're going to do current asset, and then we're going to say we did Zapper. So we received the Zapper as well, and the Zapper was also 75. Alright, cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say that we have deposited some cash as well. So our current asset, which was our what was it, our cash sales, it was our cash on hand account. We also received 50. Then we're going to do another one. This is our current asset. We got a check. We say thank you, received, and we actually received, the check was 25. And let's do another one. So this would be our current expense, and this was a voucher we received. The voucher. Alright, good. And the voucher, I believe, was also 25. Alright, fantastic. So what we did as well is we had a supplier that we needed to pay. So when I click my supplier, you'll notice there's 3 types I can add. So supplier, customer, and GL. And I'm now going to look up my supplier. I think it was Shop in the Sky, correct. Make payment to supplier, and this was a 230 that we paid. You'll notice that the VAT for these GL items is not set. If you wanted to set them, you can just click on your set VAT or clear VAT. Just an easy way to do that. Alright, good. I'm happy for now. So let's see what the impact on our balance sheet is. So I'm going to process these items. Alright, batch process is complete. So let's go back to our financial reports. Looking at our balance sheet. So we'll notice now that we've got a bank. So we'll chat about the bank now, but let's have a look what happened to our current assets. So you'll notice that we've balanced these amounts out. So remember, the cash on hand was received from the point of sale, and now we credited the bank. So we took it out of the cash on hand, we actually put it into the bank, and we can see all these accounts are now sitting at 0, which is correct. Current liabilities, let's have a look at our supplier. So again, this was our supplier invoice. We did a bank payment, and this is also sitting at 0, so that's quite cool. And then looking at the bank, so we got F&B. So we basically said we received 250, which is making sense because if you look at our current assets, it's also sitting at 250. So this is what we received into the bank. This is what we paid out of the bank, so we actually paid our supplier, and this is then what your closing balance should be. So given that you started on 0, you are now expected to have $20 left in your bank. Alright, so we're done with the bank, we're done with our current assets. Our current liabilities is sitting at 0. And what we want to do now is our stock. This is the last one. So remember, our stock is sitting, as per the point of sale, it's sitting at 50, but currently we're seeing that it's sitting on a balance of 100. So let's just quickly hop over to the point of sale and see where that comes from. We can stay here. Let's go to stock movement, and remember, we've got 5 because we've written off 5. So what we want to do is we actually want to go from on our accounting side and just write off these 5 items. And then what we want to do is we should then balance back to looking at our stock holding. We want to balance back to 50. So let's do that. So on our inventory, you can actually use the journal, but let's on our inventory we'll do a GL adjustment, and I'm just going to clear this one as well. So we are impacting this branch, and what we're going to do is we're going to say that the account receiving, I always restart with the account receiving the money, which should be a stock. So stock adjustment account is receiving, and this would be right off, and it's receiving 50 bucks as per our stock movement report. And because this is an adjustment we're making, we need to balance and tell the system what is the counter transaction, and we now need to do add another one, and on this side we're going to say this is a stock. And important, you'll notice it's saying GL account. So to ensure your balance sheet is nice and clean, you want to put in here food to confirm that. So we are writing off, we are putting money into our stock adjustment account, and we're taking out of our food, which is our stock, 50 bucks. So let's do this transaction quickly. So I'm going to process this one. Okay, perfect. So let's go back to our accounting. Let's have a look at our financial reports. Let's go to refresh, and let's open our balance sheet. Let's look at our stock. So the food itself, if you look at it, we've received, when we received our stock was 200, then we had our cost of sales, which was 100, and now what we've done is we've subtracted another 50. So looking at this specific line, we can see that it's now reflecting correct. And remember the write-off, this is a balance sheet, so what happens on the one side should happen on the other, and we can see that it's reflecting the 50 as a write-off. So the total of the stock is still showing 100, which is correct, but it is considering that we should have had 100, but we have written off 50, and this is the story the balance sheet is telling us. Guys, so in summary, I hope this helped and give you a bit more of an insight as to what the balance sheet can actually show you. But again, you don't have to understand the balance sheet. Bizzfo does a lot of it for you. But once you start speaking to your accountant, or if you want to go a bit more in depth, the balance sheet is quite a nice tool to have a look at and understand your business. So summarizing, this would be our bank balance. We can see our current assets. In this case, it's only our tender types. It's sitting at 0. So it's a nice control. Our current liabilities. So this is our suppliers. We've paid them all. Looking at our stock, we can see the balance is sitting at 100, but considering we have written some items off, so that is correct. And then looking at our profit and loss, this is just the money that we've made. So looking at the balance sheet, it's all balancing. Debits and credits are correct. It's sitting at 0. And yeah. So yeah, guys, if you need more questions or more info on your balance sheet or your accounting, or you need some assistance from the Bizzfo team, please feel free to contact us. You can pop us a mail at lloyd@bizzfo.co.za, and we'll see how we can assist.